In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.
Scary situation for a journalist was reading the news on Saturday morning.
Yeah, so she works, her name is Julie. She's a news anchor in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And apparently she suffered the beginnings of a stroke during a live TV news broadcast. She was delivering the news when she just started stumbling and couldn't get the words out right.
The Tulsa Air and Space Museum is hosting a launch today at the event. The event features live. I'm sorry, something is going on with me this morning, and I apologize to everybody. Let's just go ahead and send it on over to meteorologist Annie Brown.
So she did send it over to them, and in the meanwhile, the crew was on top of it right away, too. They called 911.
Yeah, so when she started kind of doing that, I think someone realized she was having a stroke, and she was having the beginnings of a stroke. So they called 911. She's had several tests now. They say it wasn't a full stroke and that she will recover. But, you know, we just want to take this time to sort of go over what the signs of a stroke are in case, you know, you do see a loved one or a colleague having the same kind of thing like Julie did.
So they say, you know, you can use the acronym FAST, F-A-S-T. F is for face drooping. Does one side of the face droop or is it numb? Ask the person to smile. Is the person's smile uneven?
A stands for arm weakness. Ask them if one arm is weak or numb. Tell them to raise both arms. If one kind of drifts down, you know that it might be the early signs of a stroke.
S stands for speech difficulty. Is it slurred? Does it seem somewhat off?
And so if you have any of those three symptoms, it's time to call 911. That's what the T stands for, because it's important to get some emergency help, some, you know, medical help, because if they do catch it early, they can reverse the effects of it.
So a person might not have all of them like this TV anchor, but the quicker, the better overall. So remember FAST, face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and the T, time to call 911.
Yum, science. It's not rocket science.
Check it out. I blinded us with science. Don't you blinded me with science.
Some of the newest developments in the world of science include a team in Singapore. They've created an invisible coating that basically makes wood fireproof. And it could obviously prevent house fires. You can hit it with a blowtorch and apparently it doesn't burn.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
I mean, not just house fires. You think of all the wildfires, right? It's become such an issue.
Lots of applications for this.
Hey, do you drink tea a lot, Dave?
Sometimes.
Well, apparently, people who drink tea are more likely to live longer than those who don't, according to this large study. So apparently, we need to start drinking more tea because when they compared people who were tea drinkers to those who didn't touch the stuff, anyone who consumed 2 or more cups a day had a between 9 to 13% lower risk of mortality. And they suggest the results are the same no matter whether you drink it black or with a little sugar and milk. So that's good to know. I guess tea has some helpful substances that are known to reduce inflammation.
I always knew it was bedtime at my house with my parents. Tea and toast every night before bed. Hey, a study shows that more paid sick leave means less death overall. Go figure. The study analyzed 2 decades worth of data and compared it on stats on the hours of paid sick leave requirements across the U.S. What they found was that even 1 extra hour of paid sick leave is associated with a measurable decrease in mortality from all sorts of things.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? Paid sick leave. So it helps you with your mental health because you can think, oh, I'm sick. I can stay home and still get paid today.
Hey, we're learning a lot about Mars recently, and apparently the sand there may actually be greener than what scientists thought. Some new observations from the Mars rover Perseverance has found that the red planet is also home to the same kind of rocks that turn beaches on Earth here a dark shade of green. So, I mean, we always look at it and think, oh, it's a big red rock. But now that it's landed in this one crater there, that Perseverance rover, they've discovered some volcanic rock composed of large grains of, has tints, which can make the same kind of thing that makes Hawaii's beaches very dark green.
So there's some comparison then, obviously, between Mars and Earth.
Yeah, like a volcanic rock kind of thing.
Interesting. This one is wild. Researchers at Michigan State want to start making wind turbine blades out of a new material that can later be recycled into delicious gummy bears.
Gummy bears.
Basically, the resin can be separated into its parts when the job as a wind turbine structure is done. The hard-to-handle glass fiber bits can be removed. Yeah, I hope so. I hate glass fiber bits in my gummies. Then the resulting goop can be recast into all sorts of other materials. And it's wide. Researchers digested the resin into an alkaline solution, for example. They received this substance that can be used in making windows and car taillights. Raise the temperature during it. It yields polymer instead, often called on when making diapers.
Oh, like it's really absorbent.
The resin can also reincarnate as household countertops when melded with various minerals. They said they, quote, rediscovered food-grade potassium lactate and used it to make gummy bears. One of the researchers said he even ate them. Wow, talk about being the guinea pig. Hey, you want to try some of these gummies made out of a wind turbine?
Do you have 911 like on your phone ready to hit dial?
Well, they dialed the 9 and the 1 for sure. The chemical can also be made into sports drinks on top of it too.
Oh, wow. I don't know how the gummy wind turbine blades are going to be very effective flopping around up there, but
You can just see the advertising now, right? It'll be a bag of gummy bears, but it'll be like a wind turbine on it too. Made from bits of wind turbine. Delicious.
And now it's time for
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's random.
Is that a fact?
Four Random Facts.
So did you know this? The modern pirate accent, I guess I should be saying, that we know today comes from Robert Newton's portrayal of Long John Silver in the 1950 Disney adaptation of Treasure Island. Before that, there was no universal pirate accent.
so he kind of created it. He just made it up.
Brilliant.
Hey, the longest span between a movie and its sequel is 64 years. That was between Bambi and Bambi 2. So Bambi originally came out in 1942. Bambi 2, the sequel, came out in 2006, went straight to video.
Why?
Because Disney was back, that was a big thing for them to do in the late 90s, early 2000s, was to do these like straight to video releases.
You're taking a beloved classic and you're going to have a sequel. Why not make it big and do a big theatrical release?
But sequels weren't as big back then as they are now, where literally all we get is sequels.
You think of Miami, you think of Miami Beach, you think of, Miami Vice, maybe.
Hot.
The temperature in Miami has never gone over 100 degrees. In fact, it's only ever hit 100 once on July 21st, 1942.
Is that because of where it is with the ocean, with the breezes coming in?
It has to be. Keeps it pretty consistent.
And finally, wasps, yellow jackets, they're real jerks this time of year. And the reason that they get aggressive towards the end of summer is because they are drunk on fermenting fruit that is hanging from trees.
Oh, great. They're already jerks. Now they're drunk jerks. Perfect. Here's your 4 random facts.
today's
1, 2,
4
So random. Give the public the facts.
4 Random Facts.
Morning, it's Dave and Cheryl. Hope you had a great first day back to school yesterday. Seems like everything was good. Everyone was safe. I will say this, driving in this morning, so I pull out of my driveway, I'm coming around the corner where I live, and I'm like, what is that in the road? And I was like, oh, it's garbage. Somebody had dropped McDonald's right on the road, so like the empty, whatever drink they were drinking, and then the bag right beside it. I'm like, I can't imagine that mindset where I'm just walking along and I'm like, well, I'm done this coffee.
Well, I mean, there's been a bag of garbage someone dumped on the side of the road, I think on Friday or Saturday, just down the road from my place.
Well, people do that a lot in the country, right?
And then here's the thing. It's like, well, now, the municipal workers, they have to come out and pick it up. I mean, people drop TVs and stuff all the time. It's really annoying.
I just don't get that mindset.
Garbage, waste.
Just walking down the road and you're just like, well, yeah, I'm done with that. Done with this sandwich. Just drop the whole wrapper.
I was driving the CFCO pickup truck one time. I think I was coming back I was on location somewhere, and I was driving behind this car, and then you're just like watching them throw all their fast food bags out the window. I started honking at them, like, what are you doing?
That used to be a thing when I was a kid. The 401, 400 series, it used to be ridiculous how much garbage would be in the middle. They used to have to run ads when I was a kid. I remember on TV, they were like, don't throw stuff. And the garbage can would dance and they were like, put it in here.
You put it all in the bag and then just wait till, you get to your destination. Or like, I think we were just outside of Thamesville, like stop somewhere and throw it out in the garbage there at the gas station. Like, come on.
I remember my parents telling me to do that. I'll just throw it out the window. And as a kid, I was like, no, that seems wrong to me.
And that was back when you're throwing like styrofoam strips straight out the window, right?
It's still there. I'm sure it hasn't degraded one bit.
It's floating in a lake in northern Ontario somewhere.
Well, talking about waste in general, you've got some of those things maybe that are kicking around in the basement or the garage that you shouldn't dump in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Hazardous Waste Day. There's another one of those coming up this weekend.
Yeah, this is Saturday, 8 a.m. until 3 p.m. at Veolia Environmental. That's at 141 Prosperity Way near Chatham. So if you're like me, the week I was off, I cleaned out my garage and I found some stuff in there that don't quite know how to dispose of it properly. Like, it's not mine. It's like from whoever owned the house before. It was actually my grandmother or so who knows how old this is. But this is one place that I can go to this Saturday and be like, can I dispose of this?
Don't open it.
I think it's motor oil.
You could start the next pandemic with that kind of stuff. Don't be doing any of that. Or zombie apocalypse.
Probably.
Do not open up that can. But this is a place where you dispose of those kinds of things.
Yeah, like it's, I think it's old motor oil or something, or like antifreeze maybe. I'm not 100% sure what it is. The label has like eroded off of it. So.
That seems safe. Women's training won't help you with that.
Nope, definitely not.
Check out the municipality's website, chatham-kent.ca, or you can call 311 too, 311 as well. Don't call 3112. I don't know what that'll get you. 311, you get a full list of all the acceptable materials and more information and things that you can get rid of coming up on Saturday.
And now it's time to put some good in your morning. The good news brought to you by Almar Home Improvements. 519-351-5666.
Imagine having done something 50 years ago and part of it is eating away and gnawing at you for 50 years.
Yeah, so you're like, how do I clear my conscience? Well, in this case, if you're this guy in the UK, you organize a replay of a school match 50 years later. This guy apparently spent 18 months getting everyone back together because for 50 years he had felt so guilty about cheating to help his team win that he was like, the only way to rectify the situation is to replay the game. And that's exactly what they did. He got everybody back together. They replayed the game and his team lost. So he says now he could finally put his demons to bed.
After all those years. Yeah, there's something to be said about feeling guilty. How about this one? A 50-year-old guy from Long Island, New York, collapsed while he was riding his bike earlier this summer and his heart stopped. But luckily for him, it happened to be 50 feet from a lifeguard station. So they did CPR for 12 minutes, shocked him twice, and saved his life.
I went for my routine beach bike ride with a good friend of mine. We were crossing over Atlantic Beach, past the lifeguards, and somehow, someway, I just collapsed. I wasn't breathing. John Ryan's team, they sprung into action, brought the defibrillators over, and they were working on me for about 30 minutes.
We continued CPR throughout the whole process, waiting to transport him off to a waiting ambulance.
You know it's not your time when you don't collapse out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Right there.
Or not even in your own house. Mm-hmm. You collapse somewhere where there's people trained to do this with all the equipment required.
Luke Bryan was never on a talent show, but he's now a judge on one on American Idol.
Mm-hmm. He's one of the three judges since they revived it over on ABC alongside Katy Perry and Lionel Richie. The Voice returns a little bit later this month with Blake Shelton as one of the coaches. And he's still the only coach to appear on every season for the last 11 years. But there's been a lot of country singers who have been contestants or tried to be contestants on some of these talent shows. I think the most famous one is probably Carrie Underwood, right? She won American Idol. It's gone on to have an amazing career. Kelly Clarkson, I believe she had just posted it. It was like the anniversary of when she was on the show.
Miranda Lambert was on one of those types of shows, too.
Yeah, it was called Nashville Star, one of the first seasons of that show. And she wasn't even the winner. I think she was one of the runners-up. But there's some other well-known country stars who have tried to get onto some of these shows and didn't quite make it, like Maren Morris. She failed to make the cut on both The Voice and Idol, but she says for her it was a blessing in disguise.
I would bet for a lot of them they feel that way because it motivated them a bit more.
And I know Maren, too, her mom actually still has her, I think, not audition, but like the little thing that said where you were in line or whatever, that you were going to audition from American Idol, and kept it for her. And she said, yeah, that was motivating.
Interesting that you mentioned about Blake Shelton. He's been on every season of The Voice, because Blake never turned around for Luke Combs. He got rejected by The Voice, but not because he didn't have the chops. They told him he, quote, wasn't interesting enough for the show.
So he never even got to sing, though, for the judges. They just thought he didn't have a good enough backstory.
Yeah, it sounds like he didn't even make it that far.
Hillary Scott from Lady A, apparently she auditioned for American Idol twice.
Kane Brown, he tried out for the X Factor and also American Idol.
Mickey Guyton, she tried out for Idol, barely missed making the top 24.
Jimmy Allen auditioned for season 10 of Idol, didn't make it.
And Chris Lane, apparently he and his twin brother, Corey, tried out for season 7 of American Idol in 2008. Now, they did make it on TV, but apparently it didn't go very well.
I guess maybe they kind of bombed.
And maybe that's when Chris realized that we shouldn't be a duo anymore and just go out on his own.
You know what else I learned from this story? That Chris Lane has a twin brother by the name of Corey. Never knew that either. So, I mean, this is just a lesson for you no matter what you're doing. Whether or not you're pursuing a career in music or whatever, don't let people tell you no. I mean, you're going to hear no's in life. You're going to hear a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Keep pushing forward, because look at what all of these artists have gone on to do. Not everybody's going to be a superstar. However, they were told no, some of them multiple times, but they didn't give up on that dream.
And I think it also shows, too, that even if you don't make it onto one of these shows, the people that do and go on to win, sometimes you never hear from them ever again.
How many American Idol winners have kind of fizzled out, but then others that have been on the show have done well? Keep pushing. You know, some things in life you should think, okay, well, this goes without saying, but Reader's Digest did a big write-up on things you can't take from hotel rooms, because apparently some people are actually taking these things. I mean, you're fine with the soaps and shampoos and pens and stuff like that, but apparently people are walking off with bigger items, and that's a no-no.
Like the sheets on the bed.
Why would you even want them?
Well, don't do it, because the hotel will charge you for them. You also can't take the pillows or the towels either.
Towels used to be a thing where I think they kind of turned a blind eye sometimes, but I think people were just doing it so often. Mm-hmm. Electronics like alarm clocks, universal remotes, and complimentary phone chargers. I mean, some places have even iPads you can use, but again, you can't take them home with you.
Well, are they like picking up the TV and taking it out too? Like, no.
I guarantee people have done it.
Something else that people take from hotel rooms that you shouldn't, the wooden hangers from the closet. They're not complimentary, and they're now stolen enough that in some places they use those anti-theft hangers where you can't take them off, or if you do, it doesn't have the hook.
Yeah, it just has that little nub, right?
That links in. Oh, God. Yeah, we know exactly what you're talking about.
Because people have been stealing it. And why would you want to? Apparently, clothes hangers are one of the things a lot of us have at home. Mm-hmm. Way too many of.
But then, what's hanging up on those clothes hangers? Bathrobes. People are stealing those, too. I forget where I stayed the one time. I think it was in elementary school. And they had these really nice plush robes, like it was a fancy hotel. But then there was straight up like a little tag. It was like, if you can take it home, and your credit card will be charged $200.
Nobody wants that. Now, we were staying in a hotel one time years ago, and it was raining cats and dogs. But this hotel had umbrellas in the closet. But it was like, hey, if something happens to this umbrella, we're going to charge you $25. Well, guess what happened to the umbrella? We were
Did it go inside out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we went in the lobby, and I'm like, I'm going to be honest and, go up. And so I went up to the desk, and I said to the guy, yeah, I mean, it's so windy, it's storming. I said, it popped. He looked around, and he goes, see that little closet over there? I'm like, yeah. Put it in there and just grab another one. I'm like, you are now my favorite person.
Well, because you're honest about it, and he realized it's not like you were playing around with it and being dumb. You legit used it for its purpose, and it got wrecked. Because that's what happens with umbrellas.
Yeah, that's why honesty sometimes best policy. Animal stories for you. A couple involving an alligator and one involving a goat. And this first one is about a flight that was attempting to land at Charleston International Airport recently. It was delayed because a gator was crossing the taxiway.
A passenger took a photo of the gator safely walking away as they were finally able to land at about 7 p.m. The Delta flight was coming in from Atlanta, Georgia. They say a similar incident, though, happened in Key West, Florida back in April. A crocodile decided, or I guess it would have been an alligator. Crocodiles are Australian. But the gator decided to sun itself on the runway until they had to call in conservation personnel to remove the animal.
Hey, Philadelphia park goers, they were just trying to cool off in a fountain. You know, it's been hot all over the place. Well, they got quite the shock recently when they were joined by a young girl walking a gator on a leash.
Video shows the child trailed by the reptile as it lays on its stomach trying to cool off in a puddle. Apparently, the alligator is named Wally, and he has a collar that says it's an emotional support pet. Apparently, he is a local icon in this town in Pennsylvania.
And they just happened to be in Philly that day.
Mm-hmm. He's apparently very friendly to others in the park. He was even letting strangers pet him. His owner, I believe the girl's father, is a reptile lover who has multiple gators.
And you know, it's one of those things in that town. We've talked about this before. Every town has that person. That time we stopped and we were coming back from our daughters in Newmarket along the way just to, let the dog go out and we want to stretch our legs. And there was the guy with the potbelly pig that was down the way from us as we were on this path. And we were like, what is that? Because we couldn't quite make out what it was. And then he yelled for it because he was ahead of it. And it was whee! And it was going across this bridge. And you go, and in town, everybody's like, oh, that's just Pete and his potbelly pig. No big deal. And the same with this gator. Oh, that's just Joe and the gator. Like, no more said about it. That's the only thing.
I love that.
Every town has something.
And in our final animal story, it's about a goat after an Alabama deputy found a goat in his patrol car eating some documents.
Yeah, so he was just, trying to do this call, but left the door open. Obviously, the goat got inside.
And if you're wondering why he left the door open, apparently he does that because he's been attacked by dogs or chased by dogs in the past when he's dropping off paperwork. So he always leaves the door open so he can just dive in.
Sounds like a rough area.
Yeah, but in this case, the goats climbed on the hood, jumped in the car, started eating the paperwork, and the sound of him trying to get them out is hilarious.
Are you kidding me? Get out. Huh. There's nothing to eat in there. Get out of there. Don't eat that. Come on. Come on. Get out.
Wow, that is the ultimate excuse of being able to get out of court. Oh, goat ate my paperwork.
I guess now he's going to have to go back to the office and print off new paperwork. Hopefully they have a copy of it and drop it off again.
Although this time, show up in court.
Close the door for the goats.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.